Picture this for a second. You're driving to work, already a little stressed, when that small orange light flashes on your dashboard, the check engine light. You know the fix might cost a few $100s, but you check your bank account and there's almost nothing there. So you do what most people do. You turn up the radio, you ignore the noise, you hope it can wait. And that one small problem quietly turns into a financial disaster. This isn't bad luck. It's not irresponsibility. It's the hidden math of being broke.
Chapter 1. The Hidden Cost of Being Broke. We've all been there at some point. You're driving to work, already a few minutes behind, trying to catch up. Maybe it's a stressful morning, or maybe you're just feeling off. And then that light pops up on your dashboard, the check engine light. Your heart sinks. You know, logically, the problem could cost you a couple of $100 to fix, but you glance at your bank account and there's barely enough to cover groceries until payday, let alone an unexpected repair. So you do what a lot of people do. You ignore it. You turn up the radio, hoping the sound of the rattling under the hood won't get worse. You convince yourself that it's probably nothing, that you'll deal with it later, and you move on with your day. But here's the catch. That small decision to ignore a problem doesn't just go away. It grows. It doesn't stay small. It doesn't just cost you the $300 repair. 2 months later, that tiny issue turns into something much bigger. Your car breaks down on the highway. You need a tow truck. That's another $200 you didn't budget for. But it doesn't stop there. That part you ignored, now it's destroyed your transmission. The repair cost? $2,000. You're stuck with a massive bill, and you didn't even see it coming. Now, because your car's out of commission, you miss 2 shifts of work, and that costs you $300 in wages. So that $300 you didn't have at the beginning of the month, it's now turned into a $2,500 disaster. This is more than just bad luck. It's more than just a series of unfortunate events. This is the hidden cost of not having money. It's what happens when you're living paycheck to paycheck with no cushion, no buffer to catch you when life decides to throw a curveball. The smallest setback becomes a massive, unmanageable problem. This isn't some abstract idea. It's a mathematical trap, and it's a trap that most people don't even realize they're in until it's too late. When you don't have money saved up, when you don't have liquidity, everything feels like a risk. You're constantly walking on a tightrope, hoping nothing goes wrong. The reality is, when you're broke, every problem, no matter how small, is a potential catastrophe. When you don't have the money to deal with life's unexpected costs, even something like a car repair can spiral out of control. The $300 you couldn't afford now becomes a $2,500 nightmare. And it doesn't just end with that one problem. It keeps going. Each small issue snowballs into something bigger, and you're left with nothing but a pile of bills you can't pay. So, let me ask you something. How many of us have been there? How many of us have had that sinking feeling when something goes wrong and we just don't have the resources to fix it? You see, this is the trap that keeps most people stuck. The system isn't just about working harder, it's about not having the money to deal with life's inevitable problems. And it's a cycle that most people can't escape because they're stuck trying to survive one paycheck to the next. In the next chapters, we'll talk about how being broke isn't just about having no money in your bank account. It's about the invisible costs that come with it. The poverty premium, the hidden tax of being poor, and how not having enough money forces you to pay more for basic things that the wealthy don't even think about. We'll also talk about the psychology behind this, why working harder doesn't always make you richer, and why the system often forces you to spend more just because you don't have the capital to make better choices. By the end of this video, you'll have a new way of looking at money. You'll understand why being broke isn't just about financial habits, it's about the system that forces you to pay more for being broke.
Chapter 2. The Poverty Premium, Paying More for Being Broke.
Let's talk about something that sounds almost trivial, but actually holds a massive weight in your financial life: the poverty premium. It's the hidden cost that comes with not having money. At first glance, it doesn't seem like much. It's the extra $1 you pay for the single roll of toilet paper at the corner store instead of the bulk pack at Costco. It's the extra $10 you spend on your laundry detergent because you can't afford to buy it in bulk. It's the inflated price of a quick meal at a fast food restaurant just because you don't have the time or resources to cook at home. It all seems small, it's easy to brush off, but when you add it up, it becomes a significant chunk of your income over time. Here's a basic example. Let's say you've got $50 to spare. You head to Costco and you buy a giant pack of toilet paper that will last you for months. The cost per roll is probably about 50 cents, maybe a little less. You're set for the next few months and you've made a smart, long-term purchase. But what if you don't have $50? If you're living paycheck to paycheck, that $50 might be the difference between paying a bill and buying something you need. So instead, you head to the corner store. You buy the small 4-pack of toilet paper. The price per roll, $1.50. You're literally paying 3 times more for the exact same product. That's the poverty premium. This applies to so many things in your life, and it's not just about toilet paper. It's about every non-perishable item you buy. It's the high interest rate on your credit card because you couldn't afford to pay it off before the due date. It's the payday loan you take out to make it through the month, which has a sky-high interest rate. It's the small convenience store that charges you a premium just because you don't have the option of shopping in bulk. The math of being poor is simple. You pay more because you don't have the resources to buy in bulk or make better long-term decisions. You're stuck paying premium prices for basic necessities just to survive. And that premium doesn't just apply to toilet paper or groceries, it applies to almost every part of your life. Here's where it gets deeper. This concept isn't limited to shopping. It spills over into banking, insurance, even housing. The more you struggle financially, the more you end up paying for the same things that wealthier people take for granted. Let's talk about bank fees, for example. If you have $10,000 in your checking account, banks treat you like royalty. No monthly fees, no overdraft charges. In some cases, you might even get a little bit of interest on that balance. But if you're struggling and have $20 in your account, the bank treats you differently. A subscription you forgot about hits for $25. Now you're short $5, and the bank charges you a $35 overdraft fee. You've just paid $35 for borrowing $5 for one day. That's an APR of 700%. If a payday lender did that, they'd be shut down. But when a bank does it, it's standard policy. This is the real cost of not having money. It's not just about the dollar amount, it's about the system that traps you in this cycle. And banks are just one example. It applies to car loans, credit cards, insurance policies, and even housing. Take car loans, for example. A wealthy person buys a reliable car with a decent loan, and maybe they pay 4% interest. That's affordable, and that car lasts them a long time. But someone with bad credit, they get sold a high-mileage clunker with a sky-high interest rate, maybe 24%. The car costs $4,000, but they pay $8,000 for it, and by the time they finish paying it off, the car is already falling apart. Now they're stuck paying for a car that's barely worth anything while still trying to figure out how to get a new one. That's the poverty premium in full force. And it's not just about money, it's about time, too. If you don't have money, even something like doing laundry becomes a time tax. If you have your own washer and dryer, you can throw in a load, walk away, and get on with your day. But if you don't have that luxury, you have to go to the laundromat. You need to spend time traveling there, waiting for the machines, and traveling back. That's hours you can't spend working, resting, or spending time with your loved ones. This is what we mean by the poverty premium. It's the extra costs you pay, not just in money, but in time and mental energy. It's the difference between buying quality and buying cheap, knowing that the cheap option will always cost you more in the long run.
Now that we understand the poverty premium, let's take a deeper look at how this system is designed to keep you stuck. It's not just about bad luck or poor choices. It's a structure that forces you into making decisions that only push you further into debt. And it's one of the most insidious aspects of financial inequality. The system doesn't just punish you for not having enough money, it rewards you for not having it. It creates situations where even if you try to make the smart choice, the circumstances push you into making the wrong one. Let's take cars again, for example. If you've got the money, buying a used Toyota or Honda is a great move. A low-interest loan, a few years of payments, and you're set with a reliable car that will last you for a decade or more. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, that luxury isn't available. You can't afford the low-interest loan. You can't afford the nice car. You need a car, but you have no savings and bad credit. So you go to a buy here, pay here lot. They sell you a car that's probably worth $4,000, but they charge you $8,000 for it. The interest rate? 24%. The car breaks down in a year, and now you're paying for a car that doesn't work while still trying to finance a new one. You're trapped in this cycle of paying more while getting less. You're paying a premium because society has decided you're a risk. And that's the worst part. You have no way out. The system is designed to keep you paying for your risk, because the only way to stop being risky is to have money. But you can't save money because you're paying for the risk itself. Now, let's talk about housing, which is the ultimate example of this trap. If you're wealthy, buying a home is a smart move. You build equity, you lower your monthly bills, you gain an asset that appreciates over time. But if you're struggling financially, it's a different story. Renting becomes a form of economic slavery. You're paying for a place to live, but you're getting no return on that money. Rent is basically 100% interest because you're paying your landlord's mortgage plus their profit. And the worst part? You can't save enough for the down payment to buy a house. Let's say rent in your area is $2,000 a month. If you had the money to buy a house, you could lower that to $1,200 a month if you owned it. But you don't own it. You're stuck paying more for less because you don't have the capital to invest in a house. The system has built this trap where the poor pay more for basic things like food, housing, transportation, and even the products they buy. This is where the poverty premium becomes a cycle that keeps you stuck. It's not just about money, it's about how the lack of money affects your ability to make smarter choices. But here's where it gets really interesting. The key to breaking this cycle isn't about earning more, it's about escaping the trap. It's about becoming more strategic with what you have. One of the most powerful things you can do is stop paying the poverty premium. And that starts by understanding how much of your income is being drained by these hidden costs. You can't just earn your way out. You need to plug the leaks. You need to make strategic decisions that minimize the ongoing costs of being broke. One way to start is by saving aggressively for things like a down payment or even just an emergency fund. That first $1,000 is critical. It's not just a cushion, it's a weapon against the system that forces you to pay more for being broke. Now that you have that emergency fund, suddenly things like a car repair or a medical bill don't have to send you into a spiral of debt. You have the liquidity to cover the unexpected without paying the price of being broke.
Chapter 4. Breaking the Cycle. Practical Steps to Stop Paying the Poverty Premium. Now that we understand how the system traps you, let's talk about how to break free. It's not going to be easy, but it's completely possible. And the first step is realizing that the fight isn't just about making more money, it's about strategically using the money you already have. We all know that making more money can help, but it's not the solution on its own. You can make more and still get stuck in the same cycle if you're not careful. The key to breaking free from the poverty premium is shifting your mindset and changing how you manage your money.
So let's dive into the concrete steps you can take to start breaking the cycle. 1. Start with an emergency fund, the buffer. The first thing you need to do is create a buffer. It's the #1 way to stop the endless cycle of using credit, taking payday loans, or putting off important purchases. The goal isn't to make you rich, it's to make sure you have enough money to handle life's unexpected problems without going into debt. Now, I know it sounds boring, but that first $1,000 is critical. It's the barrier that turns your financial situation from panic mode into survival mode. When you have that cushion, small problems like a car breakdown or a medical bill don't throw your entire life into chaos. This emergency fund is your weapon. It gives you control over your money. And once you have that $1,000, you're no longer at the mercy of every little setback. The next thing you need to do is start looking at where your money is leaking. I'm talking about those small extra costs that add up because you don't have enough money to buy in bulk or take advantage of discounts. Payday loans. These might feel like a quick fix, but the interest rates are astronomical. The interest you're paying is keeping you trapped in a cycle of debt. High-interest credit cards. If you're paying high interest, that money is gone before you even see it. Convenience fees. You're paying more for things because you don't have the luxury of bulk buying or planning ahead. The poverty premium is real. You're literally paying more for everything just because you don't have enough cash to take advantage of better options. To break free, you need to audit your spending. Where are you paying extra? Where can you start to cut down on those costs? Whether it's switching to a better credit card with lower interest, cutting out payday loans, or even just buying in bulk, every small change can make a huge difference. 3. Build up savings and invest strategically. Once you have an emergency fund in place, it's time to build more savings and begin to invest. Yes, I said invest, but I'm not talking about risky stocks or day trading. I'm talking about low-risk, long-term investments that will grow your money over time. Start with a Roth IRA or a low-cost index fund. These options allow you to build wealth without paying exorbitant fees. You don't need to start with a huge amount. Even $100 a month invested in the right fund can add up over time. Once you've built up your savings, you can start using that money to buy assets that generate passive income. Real estate, dividends, and other forms of passive income are the best way to escape the cycle. They allow you to earn money without having to actively work for it all the time. 4. Fix your credit and use leverage wisely. One of the most powerful tools available to you is credit. And I know what you're thinking, but Bobby, credit is bad. Here's the thing. Credit isn't bad. Bad credit is bad. And if you don't know how to use it wisely, it can hold you back. Start by fixing your credit score. Pay off high-interest debts first and make sure your credit report is clean. Once you have better credit, you can use low-interest loans to make smart purchases. This is where leverage comes into play. If you use credit the right way, you can build wealth much faster. You can invest in a home that appreciates over time. You can use a low-interest loan to buy assets that will earn you more money. The key here is to use debt strategically, not as a way to survive, but as a tool to build wealth. Remember, the rich use leverage all the time, but they do it responsibly. 5. Cut out unnecessary costs and boost your income. The final step is to cut out the things that are draining your money. This could be anything from subscriptions you don't use to small luxuries that you can easily cut back on. But it's not just about cutting costs. You also need to boost your income. Start by looking for ways to make extra money on the side. Take on a freelance gig. Offer your skills. Start a side business. The goal here isn't to work harder forever. It's to break free from the cycle of just scraping by. The more you increase your income, the faster you can get out of debt and start investing for the future. The key to breaking free is building financial power. At the end of the day, breaking free from the cycle of being broke requires a shift in how you think about money. It's about building financial power, not just getting by. Start small. Build your emergency fund. Stop paying the poverty premium. Invest wisely. Use credit responsibly. Once you break free from this cycle, you'll realize that your financial future is in your hands.
Chapter 5. Shifting Your Mindset, the Path to True Financial Freedom. Now that we've broken down the financial traps, the extra costs, and the cycle that keeps you stuck, let's talk about what it takes to actually break free. This isn't about quick fixes or miracle solutions. It's about shifting your mindset, because how you think about money is often the biggest obstacle to financial freedom. When it comes to finances, mindset is everything. Most people think that financial freedom is about making more money. And yes, earning more can definitely help, but it's not the whole picture. Because if you don't change the way you think about spending, saving, and investing, no amount of income will ever get you where you want to be. 1. Stop viewing debt as the enemy. Let's start with one of the most fundamental shifts that needs to happen. Stop viewing debt as the enemy. That doesn't mean you should go out and max out your credit cards or take on high-interest loans. It means rethinking debt and understanding that not all debt is bad. In fact, good debt can be one of your most powerful tools. Mortgages, student loans, and even low-interest credit cards can help you build wealth if used properly. The rich use debt all the time, not to survive, but to leverage their wealth. The problem isn't debt itself. The problem is using bad debt, the kind that holds you back, like payday loans or high-interest credit card balances. But if you can shift your mindset and use debt strategically, you'll be able to build wealth faster than if you tried to pay it all off immediately. 2. Stop trying to get rich quickly. A huge part of breaking free from the poverty cycle is understanding that wealth doesn't happen overnight. In fact, most people who get rich quick lose everything just as fast. The secret to financial freedom is patience and consistency. It's about investing small amounts over time. It's about making smart choices today that will pay off in the future. It's not flashy, it's not glamorous, but it works. If you focus on small, incremental improvements in how you manage your money, whether it's saving a little more, investing a little smarter, or cutting unnecessary expenses, you'll eventually see massive results. 3. Shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. If you're struggling financially, it's easy to fall into a scarcity mindset. This is the belief that there's never enough to go around. It's the feeling that you're always playing catch-up, that no matter how hard you work, you'll always fall short. But this mindset keeps you stuck. It keeps you focused on what you don't have instead of what you could be building. The reality is, there is enough for everyone. The rich aren't rich because they took from others. They're rich because they created value. An abundance mindset means focusing on opportunities, creating value, and believing that wealth is something you can achieve through smart, deliberate action. It's about investing in yourself, whether that's through learning new skills, creating something valuable, or taking calculated risks. When you shift from scarcity to abundance, you'll start to make decisions based on growth instead of fear. 4. Embrace financial literacy and build long-term wealth. One of the most empowering things you can do is educate yourself about money. Financial literacy is the key to unlocking your potential. And I'm not talking about complicated investment strategies or high-level economics. I'm talking about understanding the basics, things like how interest works, how taxes affect your income, and how to budget and save effectively. Knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better decisions you can make. You don't have to be a financial expert, but you do need to understand the basics to avoid the traps that keep you stuck. Once you have a foundation of financial knowledge, you can start building wealth in a way that works for you. You can start investing in stocks, real estate, or other assets that will generate passive income. You can start a business, grow your income streams, and work your way towards financial freedom. 5. Create a roadmap for your financial future.
Finally, to truly break free, you need to create a clear financial roadmap. You need to set goals, track your progress, and regularly assess where you're at financially. This isn't about perfection, it's about direction. When you have a roadmap, you know exactly where you're going, and that makes all the difference. Start by setting short-term goals, like paying off high-interest debt or saving for an emergency fund. Then create long-term goals, like investing for retirement or building multiple streams of income. Make sure your goals are specific, measurable, and actionable. The more you break down big financial goals into small steps, the easier it becomes to stay on track. The bottom line is you have control. At the end of the day, financial freedom is about taking control of your life. It's about understanding that you don't have to be a victim of the system, and that small changes in how you manage your money can lead to massive improvements in your future. Start today by shifting your mindset. Start by building your emergency fund, paying off high-interest debt, and investing in your future. Start by learning more about money and taking responsibility for your financial destiny. The path to financial freedom is long, but every step forward gets you closer to a life where you have the freedom to choose how you spend your time, energy, and money.
Conclusion: taking control, your path to financial freedom. We've covered a lot in this video. We've looked at how the system keeps you trapped, how not having money forces you to pay more for everything and makes small problems spiral out of control. We've seen how the poverty premium keeps you stuck in a cycle of low-level panic and bad choices. But now it's time to shift your mindset and take control of your financial future. Here's the reality: no one is coming to save you. Your financial freedom is in your hands, and that's a powerful thing. You don't need to be wealthy to start making smart financial decisions. You don't need a fancy degree or an investment portfolio to begin making a change. The first step is simple. Start small. Start by building that $1,000 emergency fund. It's the foundation of everything. Then focus on stopping the leaks, audit your spending, cut out the high-interest debt, stop paying the poverty premium. Once you have that buffer in place, you can start investing in your future, whether it's paying off debt, investing in low-cost index funds, or building additional income streams. You don't have to do everything at once, but you do have to start. The second step is about educating yourself. Financial literacy is the key to breaking the cycle. The more you understand how money works, how debt works, how savings works, how investments work, the better equipped you are to make choices that will move you toward wealth. And most importantly, shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Believe that there's enough opportunity for you to grow, and that money is a tool you can use to create value, not something to fear. Actionable steps to get started. Build your emergency fund. Put aside $1,000 to start. It will give you the buffer you need to handle life's unexpected costs. Stop paying the poverty premium. Look at where you're paying extra for things like credit card interest, payday loans, and convenience fees. Start cutting those costs. Start investing. Whether it's a low-cost index fund or saving for a down payment on a house, start putting your money to work for you. Focus on financial literacy. Learn about money, what it takes to grow wealth, manage debt, and avoid financial traps. Shift your mindset. Start thinking in terms of abundance, not scarcity. Start taking control of your financial decisions instead of letting the system control you. The truth about financial freedom? Financial freedom is not about making a ton of money. It's about making smarter decisions with the money you already have. It's about building wealth slowly but consistently. And it's about creating options for yourself so that when life throws you a curveball, you don't panic, you simply adapt. You have the power to break free from the cycle of financial stress and debt. It all starts with small, intentional steps, but the most important thing is to take action now.
If this video resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Let's start a conversation about breaking free from the poverty premium and taking control of our financial futures. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started. We're going to continue breaking down the hidden traps that keep you stuck and show you how to step out of the system and into financial freedom. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.